Hello everybody, my name's DrumVillain. Welcome back to the channel, you absolute legends. If you're new to the channel, I want you just to scroll and find the subscribe button and just gently caress it just a few times, and if you accidentally click it, that's fine. It'll be our little secret, nobody needs to know. And today we're taking a look at a Kanto Cup team, not Kanto Tupperware, Kanto Cup. In this rotation of Master League and Kanto Cup and stuff, we focus very heavily on the Master League and the Master League Premier Classic. I have really missed the Premier Cup. I've been playing a lot of it. But I figured it's time just to have an experiment with the Kanto Cup, try and find a team that works. And I'm pretty happy with this team. It's not the most hard meta, obviously, because that is just straight up Nidoqueen, Lickitung, Chansey. Everybody knows it, but also that means you need a level 50 Chansey, a 100 level 50 Chansey, and you know, not all of us have time for that. It's a bit of a grind, and you got to have the luck of having a Hundo Chansey, but you might get lucky at the minute hatching a Hundo Happiny, I suppose, since they are in the 7-kilometer eggs right now. But this is a team kind of designed to go against specifically the Nidoqueen and double normal line. Nidoqueen, I found, is one of the most common leads used in the Kanto Cup, at least it is around the 28 and 2900 Elo range. I don't know what it is for you guys, but for me, I've seen a lot of Nidoqueen leads. So this team's designed to deal with that in whatever form it takes. And then also we've got two Pokemon in the back that are kind of designed to bait out a Nidoqueen. They both lose in general to Nidoqueen. A lot of things in the Kanto Cup does. Nidoqueen is very strong, but they can hold their own, and they do very well against a lot of the other meta once a Nidoqueen is out of the way. So let's take a look at the team, and then I'll showcase some battles utilizing the team and how to run it, and how I've chosen to run it to decent success, I'd say. So on the lead, we've got Lapras. Lapras is a very good answer to Nidoqueen. The Ice Shard hits for super effective, the Surf hits for super effective, and I'm opting for Skull Bash rather than Ice Beam. You can really go either way, but the Lapras I had built has Skull Bash because I normally use this Lapras for the normal Great League to deal with Azumarils. And then we've got Electrode in the safe swap position. Electrode's a very strong safe swap in the Kanto Cup. It has been in previous times when the Kanto Cup's been in. Foul Play is great coverage, Discharge is nice and strong, Volt Switch is brilliant for damage and energy. And then in the back, we've got Alolan Raticate. Alolan Raticate is a very interesting choice for the Kanto Cup. It's a dark and normal typing. It's got access to Quick Attack, Bite, Crunch, Hyper Fang. They're all stab. It does very well in this meta. It resists the Psychics, it does super effective damage against the Psychics, and it's got neutral coverage against pretty much everything in this meta. Now, I operate this team a lot like a lot of your classic ABB lines, where you try and bait out the Nidoqueen essentially with Electrode on the safe swap. Now, because this is a fairly neutral matchup against the Alolan Raticate, I'm going to throw a Surf first, do some chip damage, and then swap to Electrode. Just because then, if the Raticate stays in, we're still in a very strong position to take them out with Electrode if we really decided to. We're going to throw the Crunch, does about half, which is pretty decent, and then they bring in Alolan Marowak. And this is a behind on energy Alolan Marowak. And Electrode has access to Foul Play. Bang! It doesn't one-shot, but that hits hard. And I think at this point we could probably shield and farm down. We might have to commit both shields if we want the farm down, because it's got Bone Club, it's going to get to them pretty quick, and it does outpace Electrode slightly. Like, Bone Club's a terrible move, but we are very low on health, and it will be super effective against Electrode's electric typing. So they're going to come back in with Raticate. We're not quite able to get to the Discharge. I think we're a little optimistic, hoping that we could. But now we're going to bring in our own Alolan Raticate, assuming they're going to blind through a Crunch, which they do. That's absolutely fantastic. We don't get the defense drop. And we're going to go for an aggressive Quick Attack down. Now we might shield here, we might go down both shields and just see what Lapras and Raticate can do combined against whatever's in the back. We're hoping to get this before they get another move off, we do. And the opponent surrenders. GG, I guess they were really weak to Alolan Raticate or really weak to Lapras in the back. Who knows, probably really weak to Raticate since they stayed in and didn't swap once we brought in ours. But either way, GG's. Next matchup, and we've got an Alolan Muck. Now you're going to see a fair amount of Alolan Mucks, not as many as you are going to see Nidoqueen, but it is still a very strong poison type. In this meta it can run either Dark Pulse or Poison Jab, and both are very effective. We shield and Acid Spray like an absolute noob, but the Dark Pulse would have hit pretty hard in the Great League. And we're not swapping out to try and bait out a Nidoqueen here because we're assuming that if they've got Muck on the lead, they probably don't have another Poison Jab user in the back. That would make them very susceptible to certain Pokemon in this meta. We're going to swap to Electrode anyway, midway through the matchup, and just see what we do pull out. We put on Alolan Raticate, which isn't the best answer to Electrode, but since we've already took a fair amount of damage, it is going to be able to take us out. We're going to just make this discharge though. This is going to force a shield actually, so if they don't shield, we will take switch advantage here. They let it go through. Bang, that's very, very nice for us. Muck comes in, farms us down. Now we might bring in Raticate because as they've got Acid Spray, we're assuming that they've got Dark Pulse as well, which Alolan Raticate's going to resist. And this opponent's going to quit out as well. Nobody wants to deal with Raticate, making people quit left, right, centre. I tell you, it's not quite spice, but it's pretty spicy, and people just don't know how to deal with it sometimes. Okay, so this is where having Skull Bash is super useful compared to Ice Beam, and that is a Lapras mirror match. It's same against a Dewgong. If you've ever been in this matchup with a Lapras without Skull Bash, you know that it can be really one-sided, especially if you're against another Lapras that has Skull Bash. We're going to get a shield off of this Shadow Lapras with ours, and we win CMP tie because our Lapras is pretty bad IVs for PvP. It's got a pretty high attack stat, and this opponent tries to bait us with Surf. We let it go through. So we're not going to get... Now we're assuming they're going to shield. We're going to shield because we're assuming it's a Skull Bash. It's not, but they get a shield out of us anyway. And now we're going to throw another Skull Bash. We're not here to bait. We're just going to hit... We're going to hit them hard. And we get another shield out of them. And at this point, I don't think we're going to shield. If they throw a Skull Bash and it's enough to take us out, that's fine. We'll come in with Electrode and get some pretty nice farm. But they're actually going to... Well, they're going to have to throw again, take us out, that's fine. We're going to let this go. We're pretty low on health now, so it's not really worth the it's not worth the shield, I don't think. Go with Electrode and just start doing some work. Now, I think we might shield this up and just go for a really aggressive Volt Switch farm down. Hopefully I don't get to another Surf. It's going to be close now. We take them out. That's fine. We got a lot of energy, and this is neutral against most things in the meta. They actually bring in, was that Nidoqueen? It is Nidoqueen. So this is what you would assume as the Nightmare scenario, since both Electrode and Raticate lose to Nidoqueen, and Electrode, which has a worse matchup, is stuck against it. We're going to swap to Raticate. The Nidoqueen is going to build up a fair amount of energy, and they're going to bring in Pidgeot. Now, Alolan Raticate does pretty well against Pidgeot. This is pretty neutral matchup. Shields are down, so if they get to a Brave Bird, they will take us out. But I think they were underestimating how much energy we had and how fast we get to these moves. This crunch is going to take out the Pidgeot, which is fantastic. And now even with its energy advantage, this Nidoqueen's a little stuck. It's got to throw an Earth Power to take us out, otherwise we will survive a Poison Fang. We might make this crunch, we just take them out. If they had farmed us down, I think they had enough energy for Earth Power to take out the Electrode, which would have given them the win. So quite a close game, but GG's. Next matchup now against 4God Suzaku. I think they're bringing a Lickitung lead, if I remember yet. Now, the big issue with the Lickitung lead against Lapras is that Lickitung knows Power Whip, which is going to hit Lapras for super effective. Lickitung's not particularly attack weighted, but it is going to do a lot of damage because Power Whip's a pretty good move. They're going to throw a Body Slam at Electrode to get some shit damage before they swap out to an Alolan Grimer. So I believe Alolan Grimer has to be XL to be in the Great League. I'm not sure though, so don't quote me on that definitively. We get a shield because we build up to double discharge, and we could have been about to throw a Hyper Beam at it. So we get a shield, do a nice bit of damage, but we are going to get farmed down. It's going to bring Lapras back in and absorb this energy, and then hope that Alolan Raticate can probably sweep in the back. Alolan Raticate does very well against Lickitung because it triple resists the lick damage. Body Slam and Power Whip hit for decent neutral damage, but not super threatening, but the crunch does good damage and can drop the defense. The quick attacks chip away over time pretty well. Now they come in with the Blastoise, and I think this might be, is it an FP Sticks lineup? I'm not 100% sure, but the Blastoise in the back has me thinking it might be an FP Sticks line. Shout out to him if it is his line. And this is a pretty bad situation to be in. We don't really want to see the Blastoise either way. Obviously Lapras can do pretty well against it with the Skull Bash, but this isn't really ideal for us because we're going to have to spend our Raticate here, and then Lapras can't really farm this down. We're going to be able to throw a Skull Bash at Lickitung now. The shields are down, but this isn't going to one-shot. It's going to get it pretty low. And then probably our only option is to... Oh no, we can't farm down. We'll have to get to another... Maybe a Surf. Another Ice Shards will take out this Lickitung. But we're not going to be able to lead this matchup with energy. You have to shield in case it's Power Whip. Just a Body Slam. That's horrendous. But really, we're so low that would have threatened us anyway, even with the Skull Bash defense boost. We've got to throw this Surf, and then the Blastoise is definitely going to get to a move and take us out here. So they're going to take the win here. They are pretty low. So a pretty close matchup there. But we just... Lickitung against Lapras on the lead is quite tough to deal with. Like I said, really you want either Electrode or Raticate against something like a Lickitung, and then you want a Lapras against something like Nidoqueen. But GG's. I do have some matchups against the Nidoqueen leads and actually catching them to show you guys, but they're not in this first set. I think they're in the second set. Now, this matchup we get a Pidgeot lead. This is a very good lead for Lapras because the Ice Shard is hitting for super effective, chips away very nicely. They swap out to a Shadow Victreebel, which I was not prepared at all, and I actually over-tapped. I wanted to throw a Surf rather than building up extra and taking all that extra Razor Leaf damage, and then swap out. Really should have just swapped straight out to Raticate, but honestly, Shadow Victreebel, that Razor Leaf damage is so oppressive. Without getting extra chip with the Ice Shards and the Surf, we knew that we probably would just be able... They could just shield and farm down and take switch advantage, which wouldn't matter that much if we brought in Raticate, since both Electrode and Lapras do very well against Pidgeot, but still, we wanted to chip it down a little bit and potentially get a shield out of them. Now this Pidgeot's going almost for a farm down before they swap out to a Beedrill, wanting to get it ahead on energy. Beedrill's very dangerous ahead on energy because it has access to Drill Run, which would pretty much one-shot Electrode, so we were glad to see it here and know that they've got it because we can bring in Lapras. We're calling that this is not a Drill Run, it's just a Fell Stinger. We're going to get to this Surf, take it out, and then we know we've definitely got Electrode for the Pidgeot. Electrode doesn't even need a shield against Pidgeot because even if Pidgeot lands a Brave Bird, it does about half, maybe just over half, but it's not enough to take us out, so we're not even going to shield this up in case it's a Feather Dance, and just see what happens. It is a Feather Dance. It's not going to matter either way. I think they need to land 2 Brave Birds to take us out. We cannot shield this. Like, it doesn't matter. It's a Brave Bird. You can see it does respectable damage, but also they're not going to be able to farm you down because the Gust is resisted, and that's going to give us the win. GG. So, taking a 4-1 in the first set with this team, and we got one more set to show you guys. I don't want to drag out the video too long. I'm in a bit of a rush to make this video. Apologies for that. Cheeky Cresselia catch there as well, and I believe that Cresselia took me a solid 10 minutes to catch doing that set because of course it did. It's a Go Battle League legendary, you know it's bloody tough to catch those things. Okay, I believe this set is from a different day with this team. I did bounce around on and off on using this team and with others that I was experimenting with, and here we've got a Shadow Nidoqueen lead, safe swap to Lickitung. It's safe to assume that this might be a Chansey in the back as well. Raticate definitely shuts down Lickitung very hard. You can see we take that Body Slam, no worries whatsoever, and the Lick is doing absolutely nothing to us. We can control switch advantage here and keep Lapras locked onto the Nidoqueen, which is vital. We can't lose switch advantage. We don't have to shield. There's no chance that they're throwing some kind of nuke that's going to absolutely annihilate us. Now we've thrown a Crunch. We're going to throw the Hyper Fang because the Crunch wouldn't quite KO and the Hyper Fang does slightly more damage. Get them closer to being farmed down. We might shield this up. No, I don't think it's going to take us out. I don't think we need to. It's going to get us pretty low. And that's going to actually mean that the Nidoqueen doesn't get much farm against us. We might just get this Crunch off as well before we get taken out, which is pretty perfect because Lapras beats Nidoqueen. But if Nidoqueen gets a huge energy advantage, it can throw a couple of Earth Powers. It's going to do big damage. So we still the Lapras against that. They swap out and it's actually their own Alolan Raticate in the back. So since we've already nearly got a Surf, we decide to build up and throw it before we swap out, just to get that extra chip damage. And now we're just going to bring an Electrode and we're not going to shield Electrode. I'm going to commit shields for Lapras. Lapras is the win condition. Getting Electrode stuck against Nidoqueen is just going to give the Nidoqueen some farm. So we're either going to throw a discharge before they throw another move because we don't want to get taken out and have to do too much work on this Raticate. We get a shield out of him, which is nice. We might match that shield now, actually. No, we're going to let it go. Let the Electrode go. And now we've just got double shields for Lapras. We can get some nice energy here. They're going to swap out to Nidoqueen, and we're going to just throw Surf straight away. Take out the Nidoqueen. It's probably going to one-shot because it's a shadow. Yep, bang, get out of there, Nidoqueen. And there's not much this Raticate can do. I think we can really let a move go through in case it's a crunch and they get the debuff, just in case that for some reason they get like 3 or 4 charge moves off. And we're actually going to farm down here rather than throw a move. They get 1 more off, but this match is done. So we're just going to get this shield out here and take them out, and that's going to be our match. GG. That game was pretty much textbook for how you want it to work out when you run into a Nidoqueen lead that safe swaps Lickitung. As you can see, it's very effective at dealing with Nidoqueen on lead, and Lickitung on safe swap Raticate's a surprisingly good option against it. Now these battles were back to back, so we did see 2 Nidoqueen leads in a row, which is very nice when you're expecting to see Nidoqueen leads in a row and preparing for that. This one's going to stay in for a while and throw a Poison Fang at us. We can let the first one go through, it's not a big deal. We can get shields out of them with Surfs. They actually swap into the Lickitung and we throw the Surf, which is a bit of a mistake but doesn't matter too much. And we're going to bring in our Raticate. And once again, as you can see, we just got to work here. And now we're in. The Surf doesn't actually help us here because, as you saw in the last matchup, we still need to throw 2 charge moves to take out the Lickitung. Each one, plus the quick moves, is about 50% of Lickitung's health. So we're still going to land another crunch. It just means we don't have to throw the Hyper Fang, but that saves us all of 5 energy, I think, so it's not a big deal. The only difference is we might come out of this matchup with more health, which really just gives the Nidoqueen some farm, but it means we might get a crunch off against them as well. So swings and roundabouts, it kind of has some payoff for throwing that Surf, but also throwing that Surf against the Nidoqueen instead would have guaranteed a shield or much bigger damage. So the better play is to save the charge move, bank it, swap straight to Raticate, but it's not the worst thing in the world because we get the defense drop and we get a shield out of them, so that's absolutely fantastic. Now they've got some energy. This could be an Earth Power. It's just another Poison Fang, that's no stress. They're going to swap out to Chansey. So this is the line. This is the Nidoqueen, Lickitung, Chansey line, and this is how this team deals with it. We're going to bring in Electrode straight away and start throwing discharges. As you can see, it doesn't look like they're doing much, but this is adding up. We get to the moves very fast compared to Chansey. Chansey builds up energy incredibly slowly and only has access to Psychic and Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam being a very powerful stab move, but also Chansey's got the attack stat of a wet dishcloth, so it's not going to do very much. It does about 50% to Electrode, and Electrode's fairly squishy, I would say, as a Pokemon. So that's not really all that impressive. You can see, okay, that's more than 50% actually. I take that back. That's more like 60%, maybe 70% actually. So that was a big hit. Now that the chance is pretty low, we're going to swap out to Lapras and throw a Surf. This forces a shield if they want to preserve this energy on the chance that they've built up. We do get a shield. Now they're going to swap out to Nidoqueen and throw. I think we can let this go. No, we're going to shield this up. That's absolutely fine. That chance is getting very low. We're not sure if the Nidoqueen's close to another Poison Fang. We think it is, so we're going to throw a Surf, take it out. And the chance is very, very low now. We might just make it to this Surf. We might not. This is going to be a super close game. It's going to come down to whether or not Electrode can farm down this Chansey, or whether we're going to make it to a discharge. The timer's coming up because these Pokemon are so bulky. We're not quite taken out. We get to the discharge with 4 seconds left. We're going to take this match. GG. And that's how that game kind of plays out. Ideally, like I said, you don't throw the Surf at the Lickitung and you're in a slightly stronger position in the later game. Jumping into the next matchup, and we've got a Hypno lead. Hypno I would generally class as a pretty bad lead against Lapras, just because most of them are running Thunder Punch, which is going to hit for super effective damage. Hypno's very bulky and can take those Ice Shards and Surfs very well. So we're going to swap straight out to Electrode and then hopefully line Raticate up with it later on. Raticate does very, very well against Hypno, resisting the Psychics and also hitting for super effective with the Crunch. Alolan Sandslash is not the worst, but not the best response to an Electrode. swap in. They let a discharge through, which means they're pretty low, and now we can probably shield up and farm down. It does have access to Powder Snow and Ice Punch, so it gets to those charge moves pretty quick, but also we get to our moves pretty fast. We don't need to throw, we're just going to build up the energy, farm them down, and start throwing some foul plays at this Hypno. Look at that, massive damage, and this second one might KO if it goes unshielded. They sneak Confusions through, which is really unfortunate. They shield up, and now we're going to bring in Alolan Raticate. The only thing we have to do is hope that they don't have access to Focus Blast. They swap out, so I presume that they don't. They swap out to a Water Gun Lapras, so this is a non-legacy Lapras, since Ice Shard is a legacy fast move. Are they running Skull Bash? They are running Skull Bash. We don't have a shield to have a choice to shield it up, and they're going to get there first since they were ahead on energy. But we're going to get to our Skull Bash, going to do a nice big chunk of damage. And now they're going to have to throw a move to take us out, I think. This is going to... No, they can probably farm us down here. We're going to throw a Surf, chip them down a little bit lower. And then hopefully a Crunch from Raticate is going to be enough to finish them. Oh, they throw a CMP tie. That was very, very lucky. They could have farmed us down completely there probably, and then thrown a Skull Bash at a Alolan Raticate, and this might have been a little scarier since that Hypno is so loaded on energy. A couple of punches might have been threatening at that point. But now we've got nearly a full health Raticate. They quit out. The Hypno obviously doesn't have Focus Blast, and that's the only move it really has that can threaten Alolan Raticate with big damage. And in this meta, it's not really the best move to use. You kind of want the Fire Punch, the Thunder Punch, the Shadow Ball. So GG's. Alright, in this game, another Nidoqueen lead. Like we said, they're pretty common in this cup. They Safe Swap and Alolan Raticate. So we're just going to go ahead and throw a Surf, soften it up, and then swap in Electrode, since Electrode has the worst matchup with Nidoqueen, and just start putting some work in. Sneak a Volt Switch through when they throw a move, which is absolutely massive. That gives us a lot of free energy and damage there. We're going to throw this straight away, and I don't think that's necessarily worth it. We could probably wanted to throw maybe another Volt Switch or two first, just to get extra energy towards these foul plays when the Nidoqueen comes back in. But they're going to do a nice big chunk of damage. It's not quite half, but it still chips it away nicely. Lapras comes back in, they're going to throw a move. We're going to let this go, regardless of whether it's Earth Power or Poison Fang. It is an Earth Power, it's going to hit hard, hits for about 50%. And now they're swapping out to a Hypno. And we've got a Alolan Raticate to lock this thing down. As you can see, the Confusions are doing almost nothing. They haven't built up enough energy for a Focus Blast, so we'll let this punch come through. It's just a Thunder Punch. Does maybe 20%, maybe just over. It's hard to judge really, but it's not threatening at all. This Crunch is going to do massive damage if it gets through. We do get a shield from them, and this is fine. We don't need to shield up a punch still. They're not going to get the shields out of us here with these moves. At this point, it feels like it would have been worth shielding the Earth Power from Nidoqueen, but also in the position we were at the time, it wouldn't have been worth shielding it in case it was a Poison Fang. So I think we've still made the right call here. Just because the Hypno shielded twice now, we are going to shield up one move. And now this is definitely a Poison Fang. We've got a Surf. I don't think we have to shield this. We're going to anyway, just because the Lapras can put in some decent work against the Hypno and force it to throw more energy. But I think we could have survived that Poison Fang and still got that Surf off, but it would have been a little bit of a gamble. Now we are going to get this Surf off against the Hypno, and this is kind of unnecessary because the Hypno is probably in crunch range anyway, but it does chip them down extra low, and we're pretty close to a crunch here. We're going to get it off. I think the Hypno had energy for at least one punch, but they must have known that they needed two to take us out, and we're just going to take that win. Good game. Against Hypno, if you've got Bite on your Alolan Raticate, you're absolutely going to smash it to pieces, and that's one of the few matchups where that really makes a big difference, but still you can see the crunch is still so oppressive that it does good work anyway. Now in this matchup we get a Lickitung lead again, so we're going to Safe Swap the Electrode, and this time we pull a Nidoqueen straight out. So this is the bait we wanted to do. We want to be able to pull out a Nidoqueen. They throw straight away, so we know it's not an Earth Power and we can survive it. We're going to build up and bluff a Hyper Beam, and then throw a double Night Slash, Foul Play, see what happens. They don't actually shield. We're going to throw the second Foul Play, and this probably won't get a shield. Now it's going to get them pretty low though, all the same, but they are going to be able to farm us down. As we've said, Nidoqueen is a pretty strong matchup against Electrode just because it's double resisting those Volt switches, so there's no fast move pressure whatsoever. Gonna farm them down with Lapras and then see what they've got in the back. What could it be? Waiting with bated breath. And it's a Primate. Good lord, we're absolutely screwed. And that is a big weakness with this team. This team struggles massively with fighters in the lead, and if you don't happen to catch one with the Electrode, you're going to really struggle because fighters absolutely smash Lapras and Alolan Raticate to pieces, so we just quit that match out. And there aren't that many fighters in this meta. There are a lot in the back, but there aren't many in the front just because there are so many Nidoqueens that the fighters struggle with. So I don't expect to see many, but if you are seeing a lot of fighters, this might not be the team for you. So let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know how you're getting on in Kanto Cup, what teams you're using, how well it's working out for you, and whether you're close to those goals you're trying to reach. There's not much time left in the season now. The clock is ticking. If you haven't subscribed already, but you're still here, why not? Hit the button, it's free, and I will catch you guys next time.